everybody, and welcome to the weekly scopes from the 10th to the 16th of November. Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's weekly scopes. If you've heard this before, you can skip, but this is just the intro on how I formulate these astrology weekly readings. I use astrology and my intuition to give you advice how you can practically use the knowledge of the stars and the planets and apply them to your life. So my weekly scopes are all based on GMT time and on Vedic constellational astrology. So now I'm just going to explain what Vedic constellation astrology is and how it differs from Western astrology. So the precession of the equinox is sort of like something that happens in astronomy and astrology, where the Earth's axis undergoes a slow circular motion over 26,000 years, and basically this means that this motion causes a shift in the position of the equinoxes and also the calculation Vedic and Western astrologies use. So around 2,000 years ago, the tropical and sidereal Vedic astrology signs of astrology were aligned in the same position. So if the sun was in Scorpio in Vedic astrology, it was also in the constellation of Scorpio in Western astrology. But because of the precession of the equinoxes, this has caused a gradual westward sort of like drift of the tropical Western signs. So basically these signs and the Western signs shift 1 degree with every 72 years. So as a result of this ongoing shift, when Western astrology says the sun is in the constellation of Pisces, it's typically in the constellation of Aquarius. Still, this is because the degree, orb and the date for Western and Vedic astrology are 24 degrees, 24 days apart. So in Western astrology, the sun enters the constellation of Pisces around the 19th of February each year, but actually the sun doesn't arrive into the constellation of Pisces until the 13th to the 15th of March each year, and Vedic astrology takes this into account because it's based on the fixed star positions, and Vedic astrologers use sidereal calculations. So as a result, Vedic astrology takes into account the actual positions of the constellations in the sky at any given time, and also considers the precession of the equinox, adjusting for the shift in the position of the equinoxes over time. But in terms of Western astrology follows the tropical zodiac, which is based on the seasons rather than fixed star positions. Western astrologers also do not directly account for the precession of the equinox in their calculations as well, so this results in slightly different calculations and interpretations that are given whether we're using Western astrology or Vedic astrology. So yeah, as I said, Western astrology uses specific dates, so every year, regardless of where the sun actually is at the sky, the sun moves into Pisces around the 19th of February. So yeah, this discrepancy, this misalignment between the tropical zodiac and the actual positions of the constellations has led to a discrepancy between Vedic astrology and Western astrology. So I consider the actual where the sun and the moon are and where Mars and Venus are at any given time, and this is how I formulate these sort of like weekly scopes. So yeah, thanks for listening to this, and let's dive into this week's weekly scope. Okay, so now I'm just going to explain what parallels and contra-parallels are in astrology, because I use them in my chart interpretation. So declination in astrology is the measure of how far a celestial body is, such as the sun, whether it's either north or south of the celestial equator. And the celestial equator is an imaginary line in the sky above the Earth's equator, which us astrologers use in our interpretation. So parallels happen when two planets are on the same declination, either both planets are on the north side side, or either both planets are on the south side, and this alignment increases the influence of the involved planets. So it's similar to a conjunction aspect, as it amplifies their energy, making the effects of the planets more pronounced. Contra-parallels, on the other hand, happen when two planets are on the same declination, but one is in the north and one is in the south. So this alignment creates tension, which is similar to an opposition aspect, and it can lead to conflict, challenges and inner struggles between the energies of the planets involved. So contra-parallels highlight areas of friction or contrast in our lives, urging us to find balance between the opposing forces at play. When transiting parallels and contra-parallels happen, they can sort of like trigger significant events, shifting consciousness and periods of intense growth and transformation. So I look at these aspects closely during chart analysis to understand how planetary energies interact and influence each other during a specific time frame, to pinpoint key periods for personal development, relationship dynamics or career shifts, and other shifts like karmic shifts and stuff like that. Because I just find using contra-parallels and parallels gives me more depth in interpretation, so I use them. So contra-parallels and parallels in astrology serve as markers for potential challenges or breakthroughs, guiding us towards more self-awareness, love, acceptance, understanding, forgiveness for ourselves and others, and shifts in consciousness and growth. So overall, just a shift in our mindset if we allow for it. So parallels and contra-parallels just kind of like provide valuable insights into the complexities and nuances of the astrological interactions between planetary movements. So yeah, that's the end of what contra-parallels and parallels are. So yeah, this week we've got 3 aspects overruling us. The first is Saturn's contra-parallel to Chiron, and this entered on the 16th of September, is exact on the 14th of November at 2:23 a.m. and leaves us completely on the 6th of February 2025. So this is a nice energy. We may struggle with our emotions over the coming months because of this, because we've got, basically our wounded healer getting in the way of what Saturn wants. It wants to sort of like us to stay focused, work hard towards our goals. We've also got Neptune making a contra-parallel to the moon's north node, and this entered on the 2nd of August, so it's been affecting us for a while. Is exact at 7:23 p.m. on the 14th of November and leaves us completely on the 15th of November this year. And then we've got the Sun also making a contra-parallel with Uranus, and this entered on the 8th of November, is exact at 2:36 a.m. on the 16th of November and leaves us on the 24th of November. So it's going to last us for the next 2 weeks. So yeah. So, when Saturn is contra-parallel to Chiron, we can experience a blend of structure and healing, and, it wants us to grow through facing, so confronting our past psychological, emotional and spiritual wounds, or whatever we're going through, with more maturity and responsibility. It can also bring a sense of discipline in addressing our emotional vulnerabilities, but negatively, because we can be insecure about facing our challenges, or we can just feel insecure anyway about numerous things, and these insecurities can get in the way, inhibit, our personal growth. We can just feel weighed down, restricted. Saturn keeps on bringing limitations, because although, we have to confront our wounds, Saturn, routine, 10th house, or our career, obligations may get in the way of us being able to go within ourselves, So ultimately we need to confront whatever goes on this week, rather than letting things to fester, to stew, to turn rotten and go out of proportion. Confronting it can have lesser repercussions than say just burying it. The best use of this energy is to use it for self-reflection, going within yourself, using this time to work through past traumas and develop a more solid emotional foundation within ourselves. So, just go within ourselves and just asking ourselves about our boundaries, our defense mechanisms. Are they really serving you, or are they making your life, worse? And just allow to create a space over the coming months, these aspects active, to work on your inner growth and transformation. Now, Neptune's contra-parallel to the Moon's North Node, again, supports our development, especially our intuitive development, our creativity, and connecting to our overall life's purpose, and starting to do the actions and behaviours and changing our negative thought patterns so we can become more in alignment with what we really want out of life. We're only going to live this life once, although I believe in reincarnation, this is the only time we're going to be in this time and space doing exactly the route that we've chosen. So it can make us more sensitive, but it can also bring more compassion, and it just really helps with our deeper spiritual, philosophical, or whatever growth you work on right now, and it just brings more understanding to our minds, and we'll be able to understand other people more as well. But negatively, it can make us confused and delusional about our path forward, because it can blur the lines between reality and fantasy. Neptune energy can always make us, escape into intoxicating substances or relationships, or just toxic habits of indulging, overspending, anything, to get run away from whatever it is we need to focus on. So we need to do all we can not to lose sight of practical goals this week, and the best use of this energy is to integrate our intuitive insights with practical actions, rather than just getting lost in daydreaming and never acting on anything. Also, we can embrace our creativity, spirituality, and do all we can while we are exploring our spirituality and creativity to remain grounded in reality, explore our spiritual beliefs, connect with our inner guidance, and stay sort of like vigilant against escapism or wistful thinking, ignoring red flags. A lot of the time Neptune can just make us just ignore those red flags, act recklessly because we're scared, we're fearful, we're hurting inside. So it's best to just focus on taking tangible steps towards personal growth and fulfillment, even though it's hard right now, and it just wants us to approach our spiritual evolution and self-discovery in a way that's conscious and mindful. Now, the Sun's contra-parallel to Uranus brings and supports, an increase in creativity and innovative ideas, us being able to think outside of the box and come up with solutions for problems we may have been facing for years. It encourages us to seek more independence, especially in thoughts, and just to embrace change, get outside of our comfort zones and break free from limitations, and embrace new perspectives, new opinions, beliefs, looking at your own personal value system and just looking there to see what you need to let go of, what's cutting you off from healing and living a more fulfilled, happy life. But negatively, the sudden changes that this energy can bring this week can just make us feel restless and rebellious, and it can just cause tension in relationships. and create unexpected challenges. And if we channel this energy constructively and avoid impulsive decisions, then this is how we use this energy, for our upliftment rather to our detriment. And we just have to remember that in our vulnerabilities, our insecurities, lies an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. So the best use of this energy is to be courageous, embrace the change it brings, break free from old relationship patterns, thought patterns, behaviour patterns and addictive patterns, and you don't have to do all these things at once. Get help. Just try and explore new ways of thinking and being, authentic, and, just focus on, your uniqueness, your originality, and also make sure you stay balanced and stable within all, as I said, seek out help to do so if you feel unbalanced and you feel like you can't, achieve this on your own, and just allow yourself to discover new parts of your identity and unlock your true potential. So now I'm just going to talk about the deeper psychological, esoteric and spiritual meanings of this week's transits. So Saturn's contra-parallel to Chiron, as I said, wants us to find a delicate balance between healing and responsibility. It encourages us, Saturn's energy, to face our wounds with maturity, pushing us to confront the deeper issues that have held us back. It's a time for us to embrace both structure and compassion, as you may discover that setting healthy boundaries can lead to profound emotional breakthroughs. And by acknowledging past pain, you give yourself permission to grow and, transform the challenges that life always brings into like stepping stones that bring you more strength and resilience and take you more closer to your inner healing, And as you work through these feelings, you can also experience more insight, and it just pushes us to look at life from a different angle, because contra-parallel is the same as opposition. Saturn and Chiron are opposing each other. Saturn's wanting us to look at basically the ways we handle our emotional sort of like stress and wounds, and the way we may run away from it, as well as the way we manage our mental health, psychological trauma and spiritual trauma as well. And if we're willing to look at things from a different angle, the renewed sort of like vision, insights that we find can help us integrate the lessons learned from previous experiences, because a lot of the things we go through are not nice, but if we're willing to learn from them, we can sort of like use them to empower us to move forward with more confidence and purpose. And it just allows us to recognise that the path to healing requires both courage and us being vulnerable as well, So it's a balancing act, being brave, but also allowing yourself to feel emotions are not a weakness. They can be a weakness if we don't recognise that a lot of people can try and manipulate us with them. We can be taken advantage of, or allow ourselves to be taken advantage of, or, because we feel low, we feel we deserve certain treatment, and a lot of self-hate and stuff come in there. So, we just have to be mindful of that and recognise that we do deserve love. So Neptune's contra-parallel to the Moon's North Node harmonises our soul direction, our higher consciousness, and it can be like a magical time where dreams and goals can blend seamlessly with our life's purpose. It pushes us to connect with our inner self and, to do the things that resonate with our core essence, especially on the spiritual practice and creative expression levels. It wants us to follow the whispers of our heart, trust our instincts, and allow ourselves to have deeper insights and dissolve old barriers that hold us back. So again, this is supporting us to let go of limiting beliefs and patterns that hold us back, as I said. So that's the theme of this week, is looking within and seeing what's holding you back. Also look at what you're actually doing well as well, because we must always remember to give ourselves praise and grace as well. So ultimately it provides the ground for us to visualize our future and set intentions that reflect our authentic self and needs. And as we, align with the higher vibrations of this transit, we can, increase our ability to manifest our dreams. And remember, we can only do that, we think the best, but we must also do daily actions to bring these changes into our life, because we can want our best, but if we're still doing the toxic habits, these are going to stop us from getting to where we want. So action is really, really important. So as we allow ourselves to, use our imagination, we shouldn't hesitate to, dive into the unknown, even though it's scary because we don't know it. That's why we stay in our comfort zones, right? But we just have to be reassured that wonderful discoveries await you if you dare to take a chance on yourself. And the sun's contra-parallel to Uranus helps us to break free from, conformity and, embrace our individuality like never before. Again, it does support us being more creative, stepping outside of our comfort zone, experimenting with new ideas, and just, it encourages us and supports us to take those risks and trust in our gut instincts. And we may just find inspiration from unusual places. Some of you may find it by, confronting your emotional and spiritual baggage, and it just reminds us to let our intuition guide us and, kind of bask, enjoy, take your time and enjoy this energy, Okay, so if you're a content creator, you can use the energy of Saturn's contra-parallel to Chiron to talk about how we can heal past wounds and move forward through disciplined and consistent action and efforts, sort of like encouraging your listeners or readers to embrace their inner strengths and vulnerabilities and be more self-compassionate and, keep on going, persevere. Also, it allows you to overcome obstacles and, talk about how we can overcome obstacles, maybe discussing the times you overcome obstacles to be content creating and stuff like that, talking about personal growth. And Neptune's contra-parallel to the moon's north node, you can talk about how we can become more spiritual, how we can become more evolved, how we can become more trusting, how we can use our intuition, how we can align with our higher consciousness needs, how we can sort of like manage our lower desires as well, and just talking about dreams, intuition and synchronicities, what they are and how they can guide our life path, and the importance of, practical action, as well as, having these deep intuitive psychic experiences as well. Also discussing how we can trust our inner guidance more, and typically, as we work through our fears, because I know a lot of the time we can't trust our intuition because it's, we've been bombarded over the years with like thoughts that now run around our mind of the different people that criticised us or the different rubbish we have and stuff like that. So just talking about how we can become more still within ourselves so we can listen to that still voice, and also, emphasising the fact we shouldn't be ashamed that we can't trust our intuition, because, a lot of us have got unresolved traumas, and these can get in the way of like trusting our intuition, So also talk about how journaling, meditation can help us, and other spiritual tools as well, which can help us align with our true purpose and find our authentic self. And just talk about, insight, symbolism, and, how we can nurture a sense of spiritual awakening, and also just nurture ourselves and others at being more empathetic, but how to be cautious with our empathy as well. This doesn't mean, don't be empathetic, but just as a reminder of, you can't help everyone, and you can't fill someone else's cup and then empty yourself as well. So the sun's contra-parallel to Uranus, you can talk about content around innovation, individuality, how to break free from limiting beliefs, how to embrace our uniqueness, how to be more courageous, talking about the power of unpredictability. Yes, we don't like getting outside of our comfort zones, but a lot of the time it's the unknown where we find our truth, and a lot of potential for personal growth and creative expression as well. So just inspiring your followers to explore new ideas, experiment with different perspectives, and just welcome new and exciting opportunities into their life. So yeah, on the 10th of November, nothing happens. On the 11th of November, we've got the Sun making a contra-parallel to Jupiter, and the Moon void, of course, starts at 1:17 p.m. Venus makes a semisextile to Pluto. The Moon enters Pisces at 8:52 p.m. and will stay there for the next couple of days, and the Sun makes a quincunx to Chiron. So the Sun's quincunx to Jupiter is exact at 11:08 today, and is with us for the next sort of like 2 days. And the Sun's in Libra and Jupiter's in Taurus. Venus makes a semisextile to Pluto, and Venus is in Sagittarius and Pluto's in Capricorn, and this is exact at 3:44 p.m. today and leaves us in a few days as well. And the Sun's quincunx to Chiron is exact at 9:40 p.m. and the Sun's in Libra and Chiron's in Pisces. So when the Moon enters Pisces, it increases our intuition and emotional sensitivity, so supporting the energies of this week I just talked about. Positively, it helps us with being more creative, self-reflection, meditating and connecting with our inner self. But again, it can add to that moodiness, us wanting to escape our reality and just feeling overwhelmed by emotions as well. The Sun's quincunx to Jupiter, again, it's another challenging energy, and we can feel kind of conflict between our ego and our need for expansion. Our ego wants us to stay in our comfort zone, and Jupiter wants us to expand, to grow, so this adds to the inner conflict you may have had, especially over your personal desires and your long-term goals. Right now you can just feel, I just want to give in, I want to overindulge, overspend, make love, do whatever I want to do. I don't want to focus on my long-term goals, I don't want to take accountability, but you just have to watch out for being reckless, and try and adjust, because quincunx energy always wants to adjust our ways of being, so it wants us to find a balance between seeking harmony and going after growth as well. Also today, Venus makes a semisextile to Pluto, so again this can bring intense emotions and transformative experiences in our relationships. Positively, it allows us to deepen intimacy with ourselves and others, strengthen the bond, the connection with ourselves and others, and it can just help us, focus on personal growth through shared values and passions in our relationships. Negatively, it can bring power struggles, jealousy, revenge, possessiveness and manipulation in our relationships. So it's essential to maintain open communication and establish boundaries to avoid conflicts. The best use of this energy is to embrace being vulnerable, explore deep emotional connections and work on healing any past wounds related to love and intimacy. Also, we've got the Sun making a quincunx to Chiron, so 2 quincunxes affecting us today. Again, this highlights our inner wounds, can bring them to the surface, and insecurities. It wants us to, confront our deepest emotional pain, like the overriding aspects do with Saturn's contra-parallel to Chiron. Also, so this positively helps us with emotional release and self-awareness and spiritual healing, and just wants us to really face our vulnerabilities rather than running away from them. But again, negatively, it can make us feel inadequate and have self-doubt and emotional sensitivity, so it can be snappy, quick to judge, quick to react. So we have to practice self-care and try and seek out support from trusted individuals right now, and just engage in healing practices, healthy habits, maybe some meditation emotional therapy to help you navigate your emotions right now. On the 12th of November, Venus makes a quincunx to Saturn, Mercury makes a square to Saturn too, the moon enters its gibbous moon phase at 3:51 p.m, the moon's north node goes retrograde at 3:59, the sun also makes a sesquiquadrate to the moon's north node at 5:39 p.m, and Venus makes a biquintile to Uranus as well. So Venus's quintile to Saturn happens when Venus is in Sagittarius and Saturn's in Aquarius. This is exact at 8:33 a.m. today and leaves us in the next few days. Mercury square to Saturn is exact at 1:21 p.m. today. Mercury's in Scorpio and Saturn's in Aquarius, and this leaves us in a few days as well. The sun's sesquiquadrate to the moon's north node is exact at 5:38 p.m, and the sun's in Libra and the moon's north node is in Pisces, and Venus's biquintile to Saturn happens when Uranus is in Taurus. And so the gibbous moon phase is a time of change, refinement, and it wants us to work on fine-tuning our goals and strategies for success and being more receptive to intuitive guidance. But negatively, we can overanalyze and become too critical of ourselves and others. The moon's north node retrograde again supports spiritual progress, which is good, but negatively we can just feel stuck or not wanting to face the unresolved issues from our past that do need to be addressed before we move forward. So this week the theme is going over your path as we close down the year, thinking about how you can have a better 2025 if you feel you haven't had a good year this year. Venus's quintile to Saturn again helps us express love and beauty within like a structured framework. It can make us more productive and take more responsibility and take pleasure from being accountable as well. It allows us to work on creating more meaningful relationships and long-lasting ones with new people, or repairing any sort of like arguments in our current relationships, but we just have to watch out for challenges in balancing our need for freedom and our need for commitment within relationships, because someone may want more freedom. So just try and use an active listening, create a safe space, and try not to overreact, and try and put yourself in the other person's shoes and respect each other's boundaries and be assertive as well. Mercury square to Saturn allows us to have more intense mental focus and motivates us to have a deeper understanding of ourselves, and it just helps for strategic thinking and more problem solving, which is in handy, comes in handy for this week because we may have a lot of problems to solve, and we can sort of like become too inflexible in our thinking, so we need to watch out for that because we need to be adaptable right now and keep our minds open, even if we hear things we don't like. The best use of this energy is to focus on strategic thinking and action, and address your long-term goals or commitment issues and stuff like that, and just use it to understand and solve complex problems and overcome whatever obstacles come up right now with perseverance. Stay vigilant against communication and maintain more sort of like adaptability in your approach. The sun's sesquiquadrate to the moon's north node again brings challenges for us balancing our personal desires represented by the sun and our karmic path represented by the north node. So it just supports us and pushes us to do things and think the thoughts and take actions towards our higher calling, higher potential, highest good. But again, we can have inner tensions and conflicts between what you want and what you need to do you to grow spiritually, So it wants us to, and challenges us to go within ourselves, satisfying our desires as well, but also meeting the needs of our deeper selves, So also today we've got Venus making a bi-quintile with Uranus, so this is nice sort of energy which supports us, being more happy in our relationships and being more happy within its sort of energy. So most of us feel it within ourselves as well. So again, it can make us more spontaneous, especially with our finances and in romance, and it supports us in trying new things and embracing change wholeheartedly, just being really open and optimistic about change. Negatively, it can lead to sudden changes and unexpected shifts in our relationships and finances, and this can bring disruptions or instability in the matters of heart and money. So it's essential to embrace change while staying grounded, to sort of navigate, the ups and downs. It wants us to, again, and supports us to get outside of our comfort zone and be more creative and just have a bit of excitement, On the 13th of November, the moon void, of course, starts at 1:51 p.m. and the moon enters Aries at 9:41 p.m. So when the moon transits through Aries over the next couple of days, as we go down into the end of the week, into the weekend, it supports us with being individual, going after our passions with enthusiasm, kickstart new projects and ventures, or continue old projects, brings lots and lots and lots of motivation. So great energy to take action, set goals and step outside of our comfort zone, which a lot of aspects are pushing us to do this week, to face our challenges head on and be independent and courageous. The best use of this energy is to be courageous and fearless, get yourself out of your rut, push your boundaries and, pioneer innovative ideas, try new things as well. But negatively, because it can make us more impulsive, we just need to watch out for creating conflict and making rash decisions that we may regret later, and just watch out for overly aggressive behaviour in yourself and others, and being impatient as well, which can put a strain on relationships and create unnecessary tension. So on the 14th of November, Saturn makes a contra-parallel with Chiron, as I said earlier, at 2:24. Venus makes a quincunx with Mars at 8:02. Mercury makes a semi-square to Pluto at 11:47, and Neptune's contra-parallel with the Moon's North Node is exact at 7:24 p.m. So Venus's quincunx to Mars is a challenging aspect, and it sort of highlights our relationships and our desires, our wants, Positively, it can help us with being romantic and creative this week, which is good, bringing that sense of adventure and us being spontaneous, and being open to new experiences and connections with others with enthusiasm. But negatively, it can bring conflicts in our desires and values within our relationships. To navigate this energy, we need to balance the fiery energy of Sagittarius, where Venus is, and emotional sensitivity where Mars is, and embrace being open in our communication and empathetic to reduce and resolve conflicts as well. And again, it just reminds us to watch out for impulsive reactions or arguments, being argumentative because you're feeling emotionally triggered. Try and ask yourself, why is this triggering you, and take steps to work through those triggers, unless someone isn't triggering you on purpose. But again, still, we have to sort of try and walk away from conflict right now rather than exuberate it, because it can have worse consequences. It also wants us to recognise the importance of a strong support system at this time within ourselves, if you're self-partnered or you're an independent person, or by having, close friends and family or mental health professionals that can be on your side and provide you with comfort, guidance and perspective when needed to make the most of this energy. Engage in experiences and activities that promote harmony and understanding within yourself and in your relationships, and spend quality time with those you care about or with yourself in creative projects or, in interests that can strengthen the bond with yourself or others. So ultimately embrace the positive and negatives that this aspect brings. Find your passion and excitement and the things you really want to do, what brings you joy right now, and just be mindful of the conflict between your desires and values so you can navigate this energy successfully. Mercury semi-square to Pluto allows you to have deeper insights, have more powerful conversations, and have the sort of like ability to uncover hidden truths and secrets. But negatively, you can become obsessive in your thinking, or this can bring power struggles in communication. To make the use of this energy, focus on self-reflection, research, and engage in meaningful discussions that leads to personal growth, and just try and do all you can to be grounded. So on the 15th of November, Saturn comes out of retrograde and goes direct at 2:21 p.m. If you want to know more about this in depth, although I'm going to talk about it in summary in a short while, check out the separate audio. There's a super full moon in Aries that happens at 9:29 p.m. again. I've done a separate audio on that, so check that out as well. The moon enters void of course at 9:29 p.m. and the moon enters Taurus at 9:47 p.m. as well. So when Saturn turns direct, positively it can bring more stability and structure into our plans. It can just make us feel more responsible and take more accountability for our actions and words. It supports us making long-term plans, and it wants us to be more, disciplined, hardworking, and to keep on going over our obstacles. And by doing this, we can achieve our goals with more, happiness through diligent effort. It's excellent energy to continue setting boundaries, establishing new routines that help you, bring your goals into reality and also reap the rewards of your past efforts. But negatively, it can bring challenges into areas where you may have neglected your responsibilities or took kind of like shortcuts or in your education, career, things where you sort of like, didn't go through the best processes may come to your attention, or you may have to pay back now for actions of the past where you sort of like didn't meet your responsibilities, and this can make you feel restricted and delayed in your progress, leading to frustration and impatience. But you have to remember that Saturn's energy is always wanting us to sort of like overcome obstacles and re-question our plans, because sometimes we may think that we've made a good plan but we haven't, so it's just about reassessing your long-term goals. It supports us in staying grounded and patient. This is what's needed to navigate our obstacles. The best use of this energy is to review your goals, as I said, assess your commitments and create a solid plan for the future, focusing on building stronger foundations for your projects, for your life, and just confronting long-standing issues and committing to your personal growth. The moon in Taurus provides us with the practicality and comfort and stability that we need to navigate as we close down the week. It helps us with a sense of emotional, psychological and spiritual stability and brings more peace if we allow it, and supports us to be patient and to keep on going, and it can just increase our connection to the physical world. So it's a good time for indulging in sensory pleasures such as enjoying good food, nature walks, or creative projects that stimulate your senses. But negatively can make us stubborn, resistance to change, and this can get in the way of us being flexible. So it's important to be mindful of becoming too fixed in your ways and to remain remain open to new ideas and approaches. And the best use of this is to create a sense of security within yourself or within your surroundings right now, and just focus on practical matters such as, your financial stability, home improvement, self-care, and your overall well-being. And just try and do your best to gain more peace and contentment in your life, being grateful for what you have, even if it's not what you want right now. On the 16th of November, the Sun enters Scorpio at 2:02. The Sun also makes a contra-parallel to Uranus, and Venus makes a square to the Moon's North Node. So I talked about the Sun's contra-parallel to Uranus at the beginning of the week, and this is exact at 2:37 today. Venus' square to the Moon's North Node is exact at 11:03 a.m. today, and leaves us on the 17th of November, and Venus is in Sagittarius and the Moon's North Node is in Pisces. So when the Sun enters Scorpio, and again, I've done a full analysis of this in a separate audio if you want to check that out, but it just allows us to bring more passion and intensity in our life. It's a time for self-reflection, transformation, and embracing our inner power. It can help us uncover hidden truths, increase our intuition, and strengthen our emotional resilience without being too secretive or obsessive in our thinking. But negatively, we can be manipulative, power struggles can come, and there can just be a tendency towards being controlling. It can also increase feelings of jealousy, possessiveness, and make us want to seek revenge, So the best use of this energy is to focus on self-discovery, emotional healing, and facing our fears head on, and exploring our passions, and to maintain a balance between, not being controlling or not allowing others to control us, and trying not to be manipulative in our interactions with others, but watch out for others being manipulative with us as well. So as we close down the week, we can have a lot of challenges this week, but a lot of the energy just wants us to go inward, especially as we go into the last 5-6 weeks of the year, reflecting on the things you've done well, the things you wish you did better, and making a plan to bring the changes into your life that you need. So that's the end of this week's weekly scopes. I'm Amani, your holistic karmic astrologer. Look after yourself, take care, and see you next time. So that's the end of the weekly scopes from the 10th to the 16th of November.